Hey, yo, and welcome to the AWO Journeymen Podcast. I am JD, the Blues fan who can, after 10 long years in the wilderness, finally celebrate playing finals. Uh, Joining me this week, I'm not alone this week. Thank fuck.
Hello.
Joining me this week is Maso, the Freo fan who, hey, I tell you what, giving Port a bit of a shake at the moment, but you know, definitely probably now looking down the barrel of 2024 well and truly. How you doing, Maso?
Yeah, just coasting, just getting there. It's been
Coasting.
right.
How's Bubble Lubs?
A baby pooping, crying, not letting me sleep.
The good stuff. But more, let's talk some footy.
Let's get into it.
Let's get straight into it. We'll go back to Friday night where Collingwood took on Brisbane at Marvel Stadium of all places. And it was 15-10, 100, playing 19-10, 124. Brisbane just way too strong for Collingwood in this one. The Brisbane curse, as Collingwood fans may dub it now, is still in effect. They just couldn't fire a shot on Friday night. Really didn't look like they came to play. Really.
Mm.
And just got steamrolled by a way better Brisbane side. Brisbane Smalls just took advantage in this one. Absolutely killer game from players like Link McCarthy, Charlie Cameron, Rayner, Bailey, Archie early on when he was fit before he went down with that really unfortunate rib injury. When he came down hard, which also leads me to bring into Collingwood's unfortunate injury with Jacob Ryan being subbed out with a concussion in his first game. So
unlucky kid, unlucky.
It'd be the worst way to remember. Remember your first game. So
might not even remember it.
Yeah, exactly. May not even remember it. Unfortunately, couple of positives for Brisbane in this one, mainly for one certain player, Dev Robertson, mate. He gained 5,000 followers on Instagram while the game was going on, all because of his shirt being ripped off.
Yeah, showing off the rig,
mate. He was washboarding there for a little bit. I know they were calling him out on commentary, saying, "Oh, he's tensing." I was like, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, he's loving it. A few misses were interested in AFL for a good 10 minutes at that point in time.
Yep. I think a lot of people were sitting there watching, going, "Oh, hello." For a few people here and there. A couple of things coming out of this one also was Bo's big Bo suspension. So Bo McCreary, only misses the last game of the season, which it's a dead rubber game now anyway for both clubs. So Bo. 1 week for a dangerous tackle, which it was well and truly there. Arms were pinned, dumped the head forward. I mean, I still don't agree with some of these suspensions, but it's part and parcel for what it was all year, sort of thing. So, 1 week gets just gets a week off before finals.
It's just the lack of consistency once again. Like, we literally saw a similar tackle, maybe even worse, in the Freo game, where Sarong just got ragdolled and went forward. Nothing cold. Both arms pinned, head pretty much slammed into the ground, driven forward, no free kick, play on. So, the consistency has not been there all year. And once again, umpires.
But umpires. How did you see this game?
Well, with the outs, it felt like Collingwood was just resting players ready for the finals. Looked like they were trying out new things, kind of in ways, with different players in different positions. It was a shootout there for the first bit, where, backwards and forwards, both teams in it. I was like, oh, wonder if this can last the whole game. But then...
I was just going to quickly say, like, there was a little bit there where Collingwood got it back to within 4 points in the third there. Like, they really came out in the third, at the start of the third, and just fired every shot and got themselves within 4, but then Brisbane just stomped on them.
The pace of Brisbane is scary. The transition game, it was just wild. What was it, like 4 kicks, and they would have it from halfback all the way to the forward line, if even that. And they're just running into an open goal. So it's just like, yeah, if they can keep that up, they're going to be one to look out for. But it's once again going to fall back on the MCG hoodoo.
Yeah.
For Brizzy, but
that may not
did
come
great.
till grand final day either.
Really?
Because, well, theoretically, this sews up second on the ladder pretty much. And that means that they won't have to leave. If they can win both their games, they won't have to leave the Gabba until grand final day. So,
true. That is true,
yeah.
isn't it?
So realistically, this is why I mean it's a massive win for Brisbane, and they are looking really dangerous at the moment. You know, Pies call Brisbane daddy at the moment. So since 2020, Brisbane are 6-0 against the Pies. So if by some chance they come up against them in a final, I think they would be terrified to play them, even if it is at the MCG. It's something that Collingwood, could have to say they lose the first final, Collingwood, and then have to go. They would have to go through Brisbane at the Gabba. So it's not a nice prospect for Collingwood, and I think at the moment I don't really buy into that they're losing a lot of spark and things like that, but I do think that they're losing at the worst time of year. Like heading into finals is not when you want to be losing these games, and statistics have shown that top of the ladder like this, like person who wins the grand final, I should say, has a good record pretty much going into finals. Like they're currently, I think, 2-3 at the moment over the last 5 weeks. So, could be some questions. So they could be 3-3 going into, like out of their last 6 weeks going into the final series. If they beat Essendon next week, bearing they don't drop players. And I said to Nathan through the week, it's something that I think could halt their momentum, which is something they probably don't want to do. And I do think, having to insert a few players back into that side randomly through the final series, you brought it up lovely with Carlton and Mackay. It can sort of throw off your balance. So, it's going to be a real weird mix, I think, for them in coming to finals. I think just the way that they're playing is really interesting as well.
It'd be interesting, to see where they go from here. But I still back Collingwood in to go very far in the finals.
Absolutely, I would agree with you. We'll move on to I've dubbed this one a farewell game. Nothing in this one. 2 teams that were completely out of it, but it was just a game to say goodbye to a couple of absolute gems of the game. Talking about the Tigers versus North Melbourne. I'll get into the scores and I'm going to get into those players. So it was 14-17, 101 played, 10-12, 72. Richmond by 29 points. I was going to, just say a little bit. I did this for Ben Cunnington last week, and I think I'm going to do it for, players going out in their farewell game. So you got Jack Riewoldt, 787 goals, 3-time Coleman medalist, and basically goes down as one of the all-time greats as a Richmond forward. I believe, went past Richo earlier this year. Goes out a 3-time premiership player as well. So massive for Jack Riewoldt. Also tore it apart yesterday. Again, emotional, but looked like he was having fun. Trent Cotchin goes out a 3-time premiership captain. And a Brownlow medalist. Like, what more is there to say about the guy other than the fact that he was a big part of turning Richmond around and led them through tough times and then led them through greatness. So goes down as one of the all-time great Richmond captains at their football club. And then you got Jack Zeeble, just an absolute battler of a football player at North Melbourne. And I know it sounds sort of harsh to say a battler, but like realistically, heart and soul of a team for a long time when, he basically experienced it all. It felt like at North Melbourne, he experienced a preliminary final, just almost clasping at a grand final, and then has experienced the lowest of lows the last couple of years. So he's stuck by that club through it all. So you can't really ask for much more in a player. But I'm not sure if you heard this. Did you hear about what happened to him overnight?
No.
This was reported by Tom Morris this morning. So retired North Melbourne great Jack Zeeble was involved in an incident last night outside Osborne Bar in South Yarra. He was coward punched in an unprovoked attack and is currently in hospital. He will likely need facial surgery. He was basically attacked. Whoever that was, what an absolute coward, and it's just what a shame to end your season in that way. So, we hoping Jack Zeeble is well, and what an absolute coward. Hope the punishment is dealt out accordingly.
I'm not a fan of all the retirements. They're making me feel old. It's like an end of an era.
It is, and it feels like a lot to go into each week, like each player, but like they all feel it's a year this year where a lot of them feel very deserving. So there'll be plenty I'll probably be going into in the off season. At the end of the season as well. So
this was really a nothing match though. It was just a bit of good fun, saying goodbye to some legends of the game. But yeah, in terms of watchability,
with the game, it was just it was a Tiger 7-goal blitz in the second quarter that just set it up, and that was all she wrote. North Melbourne. It was just North Melbourne couldn't fire a shot, and in that second, and it seems to be the trend. They've lost 20 straight now, so. That's just ridiculous when it comes to North Melbourne. Like a lot of things that need to be addressed in the off season, but based on a win that happened earlier today, they've basically been handed pick one. But we'll get into that a little bit later because that's just
shit.
It's insane to me. It is absolutely insane to me. But at least you got to look to things like Sheasel, 37 disposals again. So. Absolute brilliance from the youngster, and I believe now he now holds the record for the most disposals or possessions for a kid in a first year. So rising star, sew it up, kid. Like he's already to me it was never Will Ashcroft through and through. To me, Sheasel always had to be looked at. So. Yeah, like you said, just a bit of fun this game. It was a little bit of fun to watch, and if you're a Richmond fan or a North Melbourne fan watching Zeeble, or a big Jack Zeeble fan even, you're sort of just saying goodbye, and like you said, making us feel old in doing so. Now we'll move on to a game that I was a bit worried about. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, I bet you got something in your pants.
I saw myself a few times, but for the first time in 10 years, the Blues will play finals. So 13-9-87, that was the Gold Coast Suns playing 13-13-91, Blues by 4 points. 9 in a row, mate.
They fucking almost had you. They almost had you.
Almost.
Oh, boy.
That was another week of just a little bit of a pant wetting moment, but at the end of the day, they got the job done. The boys,
that was your Dom Toretto moment there. Jesus Christ!
Big shout out to Charlie Curnow, the man who kicked 5, but not only got it done there, got it done in defense as well with the saving mark in the final seconds of the game. So couldn't have ended in a better way for Carlton fans. Basically the king doing it for the Blues. In this game, it was just a Carlton double comeback, if you ask me. Not to say that the second comeback was that big, but at the end of the day, Suns started like a house on fire. Kicked the first 7 goals in the first quarter, and Blues only kicked 1 very late. And then, second quarter, it was just all. I mean, Jack Lukosius started it off. It had me worried. I was just like, this is not looking good at all. And then it was pretty much all Blues through the second. From there, cut the margin to a few points at halftime, and next thing you know, it was just game on. So I believe they got it out to a 14, 15-point lead again late in the fourth. And then Carlton again just came back, got themselves in front, and bada bing, bada boom. Finals, baby. I just cannot believe this. If you had asked me 9 weeks ago after the 6 weeks we had lost, not a chance in hell, mate. Not a chance in hell we were finishing 5th on the ladder. So what a turnaround, if you ask me.
Absolutely. Absolutely, what a turnaround.
It's astounding, I think, what the boys have done. But I'm not going to harp too much on this game. I think it was now it's just exciting to see what the Blues can do in September. People say you can't win it from outside. Let's see. But one thing I did want to bring up with you quickly, because I didn't have anyone to bring it up with last week, was the Suns. Like, that list is still very, very exciting for Damien Hardwick, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So one thing, Damien Hardwick signed earlier this week. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but, basically signed, sealed, delivered. So he will be coaching the Suns as of next year. But yeah, what do you think of this Suns list that heading into next year for Hardwick? They've also got some very tasty academy kids coming through next year, and some very tasty signings that they can make as well. So what do you think?
They do have a good list. They're just missing in little spots.
That's what I said.
What would I say would they need? I think they need a pinch hit ruckman forward, I'd say.
I was going to say a key forward.
Yeah.
With Max, because they've got King, but they need
Benny
another.
King.
They need another forward with him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The pinch hit, ruckman, backup forward.
Yeah.
What else do they need? I'd say they need somebody to assist Collins, because Ballard's not big enough. They need.
He'd be a great third defender, Ballard.
Yeah, he's a Lukey Ryan type-esque. And there, what else would I say? Maybe another winger.
I reckon a classy, if they can get a classy outside midfielder as well. Like, because they've got some nice grunt in Rowell and Miller, but then you've also got Anderson, who's really good on the outside, who could sort of go inside as well. But you just need that real classy outside player that could just get themselves free a lot and just with a lot of polish as well. But they've also, like I said, sort of saying to you, they've also got these academy kids that are coming through that when we do, maybe like a draft special, we'll be able to sort of go into that a hell of a lot more, because some of these kids that they've got coming through. But yeah, they've got a tasty prospect and a very nice list that going into next year that I think Hardwick can actually do quite a lot with. I think they'll be playing finals a lot sooner than people think. So
what do you mean? We've been calling it like every year for like the last couple.
We can only hope, mate. We can only hope. But Suns a little bit heartbroken here. Blues playing finals for the first time in 10 years. And guess what, mate? I'm going to be able to kick my feet up for the first time in a very long time at the football next week and just sit there and just be like, isn't this nice? September. What a fun time.
And speaking of fun times.
We got 25-12, 162, playing 5-6-36. GWS won by 126 points in this one. The Dons are cooked, mate.
Well, what the fuck?
They're cooked.
I've got zero answers. I've got so many questions, but I've got zero answers. How? Yeah, how? How as a professional? They don't even have the West Coast excuse. So how? You're playing for finals. How?
The only way is genuinely they are cooked. Like they've got nothing left in the tank, mate. They were, I think, surprised. I think they surprised themselves to get this far. Let's just say that.
But come on, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how young your side is and the tired legs. You one game outside the 8, and then you get beaten by 130 points.
You gotta give it something. I would agree with that.
There's questions to be made. Like, how? Was it 3/4 down and 3/4 in, and they were like 13 points or something?
It was basically, I believe they kicked the second goal of the game, and then it was just all GWS for a very, very long time. They didn't fire a shot. You got 9-goal Jesse Hogan, for fuck's sake.
How does that happen?
Exactly right. 9-goal Jesse Hogan is not something you expect to see every week, which is not something you do see every week.
Because Ridley's injured, yeah? Still?
Still injured.
Yeah, he's the structure. He's the backbone. Without him in there, they just fall to pieces.
So it was Zerk Thatcher playing on Jesse Hogan, and he did not look like he wanted to be there. Let's just say that, mate. He was not a happy boy. I'll just give you some interesting little stats for you in this one. So this was GWS's highest ever score.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Dons' worst loss since 2006. It's the Dons' 5th worst loss ever. And it's the biggest loss of Brad Scott's coaching career.
Jesus Christ.
So, previously that was North Melbourne. So, yeah, it was one of those games where Essendon basically just got embarrassed. I was talking to Connor yesterday, and, best way he described the feeling during that one, numb. Because, you're right. It's just they didn't fire a shot.
It's just, I was talking to my mate about it before, and pretty much a couple of weeks ago, I'd put a line for them, and I said they're off it, but I did not expect 130-point smacking. Like, I rate them as like mid-table, pretty much, just like knocking on the door to be playing finals in the next couple of years. 130-point loss going into game to play finals is not knocking on the door.
No, not at all.
It's made me look like an idiot. And it just it's head scratcher. I don't get it. I don't get were the Giants that good? Was there just no effort at all from the Bombers?
To be fair, I think the Giants really flexed a little bit of muscle yesterday and actually said to anyone they do play in finals, which likely will be Carlton, I should say. Sorry, it does make somebody make a team like that worry, but I guess that'll be proved next week. Let's see how they go against the Blues, who are in it's going against Essendon, who were having a little bit of a strugglesome time the last few weeks. Now going up against the Blues, who are 9 in a row. See if the Giants can get past Carlton in that one. So
it's just the weirdness of the up and downs of teams this year. Like, where 1 week a team can beat the top of the ladder and then being, bottom of the ladder, and then next week you're versing someone that's supposed to be around your level, and then you just get smacked out of the water. It just this year has been a very, very interesting one.
Baffles you a little bit from the sounds of it.
It does, because tipping wise,
don't even get this started.
Just not knowing who's actually in form and who's actually going to be competitive for the cup.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The form guide, I mean, the tipsters, I mean, sorry, the betting agencies must be absolutely loving it at the moment. Let's just say
Mm.
that. I'm going to finish with a little bit of comedy for you on this one. Did you see the Giants banner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just read it out just for fun. It's been a long time. The Bombers have waited. Last time they won a final, we weren't even created. So, Giants media team slash humor on the banner. They're doing everything right to earn that respect, mate. You got to admit that.
No, I still don't like them.
I know. I mean, it's funny. I don't think they'll ever earn respect in your mind.
Mm.
But
Maybe if
either
Toby
way.
Green like fly kicks somebody I don't like.
But speaking of somebody who may never earn respect in your mind, Ross Lyon. But you do have to respect what he has done with this St Kilda list. He has officially
Yeah.
got them into September. So 12, 16, 88, played 8, 7, 55. St Kilda by 33 points. They knocked the reigning premiers out of the finals
Mm-hmm.
race and, cemented themselves a final spot. What the hell?
Anybody but St Kilda.
God, no.
Anybody
Uh,
but St Kilda.
to be
But
fair,
yeah,
likely to
yeah.
come up against a very dangerous Sydney side.
I reckon, yeah, they should outpace them off the field in that one. But then again, we never know. St Kilda keeps surprising us all bloody fucking year.
Yeah.
Just die, cockroach.
You can't deny they had a very solid night from the word go. So pretty much from first stoppage, absolutely came out to show Geelong we're here to play. Geelong had feels like they've got nothing left. They feel like they're content is probably the best word for it. So they're happy with what happened last year.
Yeah.
They went all in on the list, and now the list is, I think, finally showing its age,
Yeah, it's cracked.
because
Yeah.
it's old at this point. Like, they're struggling with speed. They've got no speed on the ball in that sense, and they were getting beaten by St Kilda in a lot of areas. So I'll just get through this, which was that St Kilda had. So this was, I called this Saints big night out, basically, because they
Mm.
had 18 more inside 50s, 12 more clearances, 24 more contested possessions, 77 more disposals, and it's their third win against Geelong in the last 16 games. So it's a real confidence booster, that sort of one, because that was a real danger game for them, and this had to. It was win at this point for a few clubs. It was like Carlton, it was like St Kilda, like Sydney, but we'll get into that one. Win and you're in, basically,
Mm.
and that's what they did. They won and they're in, and it was done in a way where it was a dominance through the midfield.
Yeah.
Then it was just a nice spread across through their forward line. Butler, Sharman, Higgins, King. All bobbing up and kicking multiple goals. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a solid night for St Kilda, whereas Geelong now have to try to go back to the drawing board for 2024 and work out how do we basically do this without having top draft picks the last couple of years.
Hey, yeah, gotta tip the cap to Rossi. Put the good game plan in. They put pressure on in the middle, made sure they got the clearances, and they had run off halfback and spread them as much as possible, because Tom Stewart can't be in more places than once. Yep. So they game plan was amazing. They played to their strengths and to Geelong's weaknesses, and just did what they wanted all night, and they got the job done. They made Geelong rush. They made Geelong bomb the ball into the forward line, which you don't see much from Geelong. So yeah, they just absolutely neutralized them and did not allow them to get into the game at all. So well done, Saints. Did not think you had it in you.
No, and you really, like you said, you got to tip your cap to them, because they were looking to score last night, and that's something that we've lambasted their game plan for how defensive it is, because we had said you've seen it firsthand. But you probably also know as well and can admit it as well. When Ross does play the attacking switch, it can work really well. He
Yeah,
just
the
doesn't
surge.
play it enough.
I don't get it. Like, he needs to realize if he wants to win the premiership that you've got to balance out that defensive and attacking mindset. And he just, yeah, I don't think he has the tools to work with to have that balance though yet. So it's either all defense or all attack.
It's
Either,
it's
so
it's
yeah,
it's insanity.
it
It's
is
insanity.
insanity.
God damn it. And speaking of insanity, God fucking damn it. Jesus Christ. So flicking over at the end of I as soon as the Saints game looked well and truly done, I flicked it over to Adelaide and Swans in the fourth quarter at the start of the fourth. Holy shit! So apparently I missed all of Sydney's dominance and
Hmm.
just saw all of Crom's dominance. So
Yep.
I'll get into it. 10-13, 73, played 11-8, 74. Swans by a singular point in one of the basically the most controversial game of the year.
Fucking robbed.
Cromwell robbed.
Robbed. Yep. Right in front of me. They were robbed.
It was right in front of me. Watching that. Well, let's get into that because there's a few things that I feel like I have to get into first. So Swans dominated this game early on. They look like they'd put Adelaide's season to rest. Basically, well and truly at one point through the second quarter. I believe it was 44 points they blew it out to.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they blew it out to a fair margin. So yeah, for Adelaide to come back like they did was really impressive.
Yep.
They had Swans basically blew it. They had a 2-goal second half, so
Ooh.
could not find the pill at all, and didn't actually score in the last quarter. They only scored a singular point, I should say.
Mm.
So it was all Adelaide in that last. So Adelaide came back and scored 4 goals, 8 in the last quarter. Now, that's where part of my issue is with the fact that they could have won.
Inaccuracies.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they could have won without the score review issue anyway. 4 goals, 8 is a lot. It's killed them all season. So last week it was 2 goals, 5. This week it's 4 goals, 8. It's happened at different points throughout the year for them. I think it's happened about 4 or 5 times this
Yeah,
year
this has
where
happened
they've
against all the top 8 sides. Yeah.
where they've been so close but so far. Like I called it
Mm.
last week. I called it a what if season for Adelaide because that's what it is. It's just so what if for them. They really could have been cemented firmly in the 8 at multiple points throughout this year, but due to inaccuracy alone, they've really realistically kicked themselves out of the top 8. Now, let's get
Welcome to the club.
into the robbery though that was the goal review. So do you want to take it? Do you want to just tell everyone how you saw it?
Well, it was weird because initially I thought I was all for it. I thought it hit the pad because the way that the commentators were going on was, there's no controversy here, blah, 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 all well and true. But
Plus, the first angle sort of looked like it did.
I just don't get why he didn't call for a review. It doesn't make sense. Finals implications on the line, end of the game, very important game, and you're that confident in yourself that you don't want to call the review. Like I understand that the AFL has just thrown him under the bus and allowed this guy to take all the scrutiny, but like,
well, he's been stood down and will not
wow.
play again. Basically, he will not umpire again this season. So
Apparently he's had a previous fuck up, but anyway, I still feel like they've used him as a scapegoat here.
I think the process itself was fucked up because they didn't send it. Like nobody intervened, not even the field umpires.
That's what I
So
mean. They just allowed him to take it on the fall on the sword.
yeah, I think there was many opportunities where they could have called that, and even like calling it from upstairs and just calling for a field umpire to call it to the play to stop. And basically the ramifications of that have led to Swans making finals a lock and basically
Adelaide missing
making it
out.
so Adelaide bye bye in season 2023. So as I said again, a massive what if season. Another club that is on track for a what if season, if you ask me, the Dogs, mate.
The
So
Dogs.
moving on to Sunday football, we got the Dogs taking on the Eagles at Marvel Stadium. We got 12-13-85 playing 14-8-92. What the fuck happened?
Oh, okay, all right. So,
West Coast Eagles have won by 7 points, mate.
fuck, Simo shouldn't be in the spotlight anymore. It should be all Bevo.
Mate, the
Well,
Dogs have bottled season 2023. So all talk's been on their lists the last few weeks about how talented this list is and how
Really?
little Bevo is getting out of it.
Really? I've heard. Okay, Vic Media. Yeah, I've been hearing nothing of this over here.
Yeah, very true. But yeah,
Yeah.
Vic Media, that's exactly the talk that's been going on. So, Bevo is in real danger here. So contracted till 2025, but serious talks over his future. So out of this game, this had massive ramifications for the ladder. So this locked St Kilda and Swans into the finals. So they've made it. It's now made it so GWS have the ultimate opportunity. Like clubs are now relying on Carlton to come through and beat GWS. So we're looking at Essendon and we're looking at Western Bulldogs. They're relying on Carlton to do the job on GWS so they can get into the finals. Eagles, they're off the bottom as well. So basically, this hands.
I mean, they need
North
a round
Melbourne.
of applause, to be honest. That was amazing from them.
Yeah.
Jamie Cripps. Jesus Christ. Turning back the clock.
Okay, I got to give St Kilda media a shout out as social media a shout out, calling Jamie Cripps a St Kilda legend by putting them into the finals. I don't think you would have expected me to say this to you. The Eagles won the clearances today, 33-28.
That's wild. That's insane.
They beat the Dogs at their own game, basically. The Dogs are a massive clearance team, and look what happens.
Where the hell was Liberatore?
Lib is out with concussion.
Oh, okay.
So out from last week, he copped a really, really nasty knock last week. So yeah, hopefully back before. I mean, they desperately need him. I can tell you that much.
Who came in for him?
Ins for Western Bulldogs were Anthony Scott and Lachlan McNeil. So nothing. Neither two can hold a candle to Tom Liberatore. So it's a massive loss for. And we mentioned this multiple times early on. Bulldogs do not have depth.
Yeah, they don't have any depth at all.
Their depth is not that they're not that good. They relied on players like a Dunkley and things like that who were going through there, and now they just don't have that depth like they would like. The Eagles' last term in this one was absolutely phenomenal as well.
Yeah, where was this last week?
Oh, mate, I think everybody was questioning where was this last week, but the Eagles kicked 5 goals in the last term to basically just get over the top of the Dogs, and it's not something that anybody would have seen coming.
They played their hearts out. They ran, they tackled all freaking game. They looked to pass it quickly. They moved the ball better. Just everybody had great games. It was wild.
It was wild.
Did the Dogs say something to one of the players' family members, something personal? Because they had a grudge out there. Like they were playing for nothing. Went out there and made sure to ruin their day.
That they did. Let me just get into Tim Kelly's first half for you. This is what sets the day up for me. Tim Kelly's first half, 18 disposals at 78%,
Jeez.
341 meters gained, 8 score involvements, 5 inside 50s, 4 clearances, 2 goal assists.
In a
Talk
half.
about set your team up. And like I said, that was just the Eagles beating the Dogs at their own game.
Well, yeah, because they sent petrol jelly to Bond.
My favorite.
And so then Tim Jelly was just able to run around all by himself. Like, I don't know why they didn't come in with a tagger on Tim Jelly. I'm just gonna call him Tim Jelly.
Tim
That's what
Jelly.
he is. Yeah. Because it's been shown that if you tag him, they lose one of their best, midfielders and the best disposals. So I don't know why that wasn't a game plan going into the game. Did they just assume that the midfield would be able to beat West Coast easily? Like,
Who knows,
big
mate?
mistake. Yeah, big mistake there, Bello.
Moving on to next game on Sunday, we have the D's taking on Hawthorn. So we have 13-9-87 playing 9-6-60. Melbourne by 27 points, flexing their muscle, mate, shutting out the top 4 in this one. So the door is officially shut on the top 4. Carlton cannot make it. They had to rely on a Hawthorn win here. So, that's all well and good. I really didn't expect to get into the top 4, but like I said, Melbourne sewing it up, which is what they deserve after the season they've had. Absolutely brilliant effort from the Demons once again today. They just had a dominance around the ground that just every time, because basically Hawthorn have an all or nothing style of football. And when you have that against a team like Melbourne, who, they capitalize on mistakes and capitalize on and love to find a lot of find space. Players like Viney and Petrarca, Brayshaw, we're finding a lot of that space today to move that ball forward. So, not to say that this wasn't a good game from Hawthorn, though. They were well and truly in this game up to their eyeballs, deep into the third for me. They're a team that's pretty much almost ready to go as of next year for pushing for finals, Like, they've closed the gap on their best and worst, which is just crucial for their development. And I think they're almost ready to take that next step as a group to start playing finals.
Definitely going to slingshot up the ladder next year.
Going to be scary. And I think the competition's only going to get even more even as of next year. I think.
Except for North Melbourne.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I even think North and West Coast, I think, are still in for a lot of pain. But then I think it's nearly the rest of the competition can make the 8. So, it's going to be you were getting sick of the vortex this year. Wait for next year and see what happens. Hawks, to me, it's now Hawks will look to 2024. They've still got a game left. They'll play it out probably same as they have the last few weeks. And the D's are just looking to finals. So this is, again, playing Hawthorn is a perfect game to have leading into finals at this point, it feels like, because they're a tough competition. They gave Collingwood a shake-up a few weeks ago. And now look at what they almost did to the Demons today. I just think they're a class of a side.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going to be something to look forward going forward. I was saying once again that I reckon the D's are going to either underestimate them going into the game, and it's going to be a lot closer than they probably expected. And yeah, that's what we got. No Newcomb as well, which is a big out for them. That's massive out for them. So
massive. Could make a case for Sam Mitchell to be one of the coaches of the year this year. Just with what he's actually like, even to know you're finishing third bottom on the ladder, just the effort and the way they built their season this year has been phenomenal. It's funny how we sort of have talked about, North Melbourne and West Coast in so many negative lights this year, but then we've talked about Hawthorn so positively because there's just so much positivity around this club.
Well,
And, same for the Ds. I think there's a lot of positivity for them going into finals. And I think that they're also going to go deep as well. I think they're playing some of their best football right now.
where they should have been last year, I feel, pushing for that another premiership, because this list is just amazing. So utilize the best of it out of them as much as possible, for you've got to go back to building blocks. Hawthorn being as dangerous as they have this year and finishing third last and getting another high quality prospect coming through their ranks is just, another thing to think about. Yeah, these two teams, even though they're opposite ends of the ladder, the future is going to be pretty similar in my eyes. They're going to
Bright for
be,
both.
bright for both.
We'll move on to the final game of the round. You probably don't want to, but moving out west to Optus Stadium, we got 8-10-58 playing 11-8-74. Port Adelaide by 16 points. Spirited effort by the boys, mate.
Honorable loss.
Honorable loss. I mean,
Yeah.
in the season that it has been, where you've had some absolute shockers and some absolute terrible losses, going down against Port Adelaide in this fashion ain't the worst thing. But I didn't want to tell you this, but unfortunately, this is your first loss ever to Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium.
Really?
Yep. So
Wow.
Port have a terrible record at Optus Stadium. They've only ever won there once before, and that was against West Coast. Interesting little ditty for you.
But I don't know. This is just like a nothing game for me. I was half tuned in. I think I watched a half. I never expected us to win. I was happy that we were competitive for a bit. Forward entries still absolutely abysmal. It's insanity. Same thing over and over and over again every week. The amount of times where we would just be busting our ass to get a goal, and then they would get a center clearance and get one in 10, 15 seconds is just so deflating. Just showed the class. This game was just shows where we're at as teams. They're playing finals, we're figuring shit out. So it was a nothing game. Butters doing Butters things.
Mate, I just have one thing on Butters, just quickly to interject there. Butters, I think for me, just said in the Brown, and I do think he has a case for this. The Brownlow race, I reckon he just did sort of tap a little bit and go, don't forget about me, because he has had that sort of season where he can be a Brownlow smoky, and we've seen it plenty of times before where an interstater gets votes that a lot of clubs don't think about. So, he's probably my spokey this year to go deep in the Brownlow.
I feel he will, but I don't agree. He's been amazing. No doubt, he's been amazing, not taking anything away from him, but he's not undoubtedly the best player in the comp yet. And for me, that has been the Bont. The Bont has won games for the Dogs off of his own boot on several occasions this year. Without him in that team, they would be nowhere near finals. And so that's my argument for that. But yeah, Butters has been absolutely amazing. But yeah, that game, as I said, back to the game, nothing. It was nothing.
But let's get into the segments. Bet you've been happy not having to hear that for a week.
Oh, thank God. Yep.
It's okay. I'm on it, buddy. So easy one this week. Score reviews, mate. We're given shit for score reviews. I feel like every single club has been fucked over by a score review. Yours, mine, your friends, everybody. Last few weeks though has been atrocious. So as a Carlton fan, like I joked last week, it was touched. Of course it was touched, but absolutely was that should have been reviewed properly. And I still think it was a definitely not a goal to. Sorry, definitely was a goal to Petrarca. So that's last week. That almost affected the top four. Luckily, it hasn't. This week, however, we have had a review that has affected finals. And this review was crucial in the game, as I mentioned earlier. It was something that all they needed to do was just go to the score review, just have a look at it.
Mhm.
Could have done their due diligence. Didn't. It didn't happen. It's just never worked. Like the whole system, I thought the arc was meant to be the thing that was meant to be when it was reviewed, and it was meant to be better. But no, like we haven't got Snicko. We need microchips in the ball. I'm not going to keep harping on about it because the score review, you've been arrowed. You made a face to microchips in the ball, and if you haven't heard about it, it is quite interesting to look into.
Okay.
Let's go break some hearts.
Now, this young chap here was born 26th of April 2002. He was playing for Swanee Districts in the Waffle.
Ooh, Swanee Districts.
Mm-hmm. He was taken as pick 12 in the 2021 rookie draft. And he plays for West Coast. My boy this week is Zane True. Who
Jesus.
He kicked a goal today.
Hey!
That's it. That was his second goal, I think. Yep, second goal for his career, and 6 games. He was one of the few standouts for me, which hopefully he gets some more games. Never seen this fella before in my life, so that's why kind of one of the reasons why I made him my boy. I was like, who the fuck is that? And then after he kicked the goal, his name came up on the screen, and I decided I had to pick him because what kind of name is Zane True? Like, what is with footballers and weird fucking names?
Like a Seb tape.
Why? Why'd you remind me of him?
Nate will appreciate that one.
You remember this, pal? You're a boy in a man's world.
Nate's Hall of Famer this week is he's hit me with a little bit of love, mate. He's gone for a Carlton, an absolute Carlton gem from back in the day. This guy was absolutely phenomenal when he used to play for the Navy Blues. So we're of course referencing Nick Duigan. So Nick Duigan was pick 70 in the 2010 National Draft. What a boy. He played 43 games for the Carlton Football Club, including 10 goals. So he had 43 games across 3 seasons, was once touted as a potential captain under Mick Malthouse, but that man was old and senile. His claim to fame was being a late in for the elimination final. He was eating a Subway footlong when he was called up and only went on and kicked 4 goals in the 2013 elimination final to down Richmond. I was there that day. It was amazing.
What footlong did he eat?
I can't even remember, mate. Probably a meatball sub back in the day.
Okay, yep.
So, September 8th, he played the elimination final, but on December 9th, he announced his retirement due to ongoing knee issues.
Mm-hmm.
Nate also asked if he could slice in that he basically quit the sample at the end of 2010, playing at Norwood, to plan on doing volunteer work in Sudan. But he nominates for the draft and only goes and gets himself picked up at pick 70 by Carlton. He ended up playing 43 games for the Blues. Like I said, kicked 10 goals. Nick Duigan, welcome to the Hall of Fame, mate. Takeshita watch, and it's actually written down this week for me, which is great. So, mate, he attacked Kenny on Dynamite. He fucked Kenny up with Bullet Club Gold, and only went and got himself an all-in match. So he's looking to be on the biggest show of all time, if you can
Did I
believe it.
miss this? I feel I watched Dynamite. When
It's
the hell did they beat up Kenny?
when Kenny had his sit-down interview with JR.
Oh yes! Oh my god! Yeah, sorry.
Takeshita took out Kenny Omega, and then Hangman challenged Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita for a match at All In with Hangman, Kenny, and only went and got himself Kota Ibushi as well. So, like I said, mate, Takeshita's on the All In card. But then later in the night, he also attacked Jericho. If you saw that, so
No.
it was a big night.
Oh yes,
for
yes,
Takeshita,
with Ospreay. Yeah, yeah.
Big match for Takeshita. Big match. Big night for Takeshita, mate. Like he was all over the place. So that's all he did this week, though. So he was all over Dynamite. But 2 Takeshita appearances in one night, mate. We were spoiled this week. But that is Takeshita Watch. Gonna get into next week's round of football. So last round of the year, mate. We're pretty much there. We've gotten it through the home and away season of 2023. So, who would have thought 25 episodes, mate?
And it took 5 years off my life.
I know. And now don't worry, mate. We're going to be having a short little break soon after the finals. We'll be loving life for those few weeks, I'm sure.
Not even that. Not the podcast itself. The season. Jesus Christ.
Poor Freo's taken years off your life. Here I am thinking the podcast took years off your life.
No.
But next week's fixture, like I said, a little bit more boring compared, but still a chance for a few teams to make finals based on results. So we have the Dons taking on Collingwood on Friday night. So, like I said, Dons still have a slither of a chance to get in.
Yeah.
Need a massive percentage boost and need results to all go their way. Saturday, we have Hawthorn taking on the Dockers. Nathan and I are likely to try and get to this game, mate, just to represent for the Dockers. We got North taking on the Suns down in Hobart. We got the Lions taking on St Kilda at the Gabba. We got the Cats taking on Bulldogs at Goomba. We got Eagles taking on Adelaide at Optus Stadium. Then we move to Sunday. We got Port Adelaide taking on Richmond at Adelaide Oval. We got the Swans taking on Melbourne at the SCG. And we have Carlton taking on the Giants at Marvel Stadium. I will likely be there for that, mate. So could be a Monday podcast next week based on that we have a 6:10 game on a Sunday.
So yeah, initially they had you here for the Friday, and then they changed it to the Sunday.
And it doesn't even matter now. Actually, to be fair, it's the one game that potentially may matter for the Giants. So
what? You guys are just going to go out and injure each other?
Watch us. We're going to rest players. I've got a feeling Cripps won't play next week.
Oh no, he was crippling around.
I reckon Rick will be sitting out of next week.
That's it's the worst. It just makes me think of Pickle Rick, like every time.
I love how much you hate it.
Does he turn himself into a pickle? Like what? What is the point?
What's the point of Pickle Rick? But we are the AWO Journeymen. So follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. And please drink
some coffee.
Get the fuck out of here. Look at this shit. Drinking water, mate, like no tomorrow.
I left my bottle outside, all right? Now.
That's on you.
Yeah.